Shibashou is a character that has been hyped up for well over 6 years, and he has finally made his first appearance, clashing against possibly the greatest military mind of China's 500 years of war, Ousen. In the early stages of the Zhao Western invasion saga, as Riboku was preparing for Qin's invasion, General Ordo from the state of Yan decided to take advantage of the lack of forces at Zhao's eastern borders, with Riboku pulling most of Zhao's forces towards the western borders, and because of that, General Ordo was capturing cities and castles at a dangerous pace. And there are times in life where you should just take a step back and just appreciate everything you've done, right? Take a quick breather and really just bask in your own glory. But you see, Ordo didn't do that. Nah, he decided to push his luck. He was fucking around and he eventually found out. He was on a roll, to be fair. It looked like this man was gonna conquer Zhao before Qin even started. But that was before he set his sights on Seika, the next city for him to conquer. Chapter 502 is the first time Shibashou was mentioned, and Hara wasted no time hyping this man up. As word made way to Riboku about Ordo's invasion, Riboku was obviously worried, and for good reason. This was the same general that Yan sent as a representative to fight in the coalition army. But once Riboku heard that Ordo was heading towards Seika, all his worries seemed to vanish. He goes on to explain how Seika held a monster within its walls, a monster that has been feigning illness so that he can ignore royal decrees from the Zhao capital simply because he detests the Zhao king. One decree being the appointment of one of Zhao's 3 great heavens. That's right, in a world where status is everything and how 90% of the characters in this story are chasing after a title of great general, Shibashou is the only character to actively turn down such a position. Dukyo turned down a position as one of Qin's 6 great generals, but he did it out of disinterest. He didn't believe in the same dream King Shou and his 6 greats and what they were fighting after, and yet he still became a great general all on his own. Shibashou turned down the position out of spite and has chosen to remain as a hidden figure with close to little achievements to be known. So yes, in the world of Kingdom, Shibashou is unlike any other character we have seen so far in the 800 chapter series. The reason I'm calling him the next Houken is purely based on the fact that this man has only been shown in a handful of manga panels, but every time you see him, he stands on business just like Houken. When General Ordo invaded Zhao, I imagine he brought a sizable army along with him. After all, he was invading an entire state, but Shibashou met him on the battlefield with just 5,000 men. He is the next mountain Shin and all of Qin must conquer if they want to end Zhao once and for all. Now, the reason I'm choosing to make a video on Shibashou right now, even when there is very little information we know about him currently, is because I think he plans on betraying Zhao and joining Ousen's army. In chapter 786, as Shibashou and his army are attacking Ousen and his main force head-on, Choshin, a trusted individual to Shibashou, shared a few words of wisdom. He believed this entire conflict could have been avoided if they simply invited Ousen and his army to Seika for tea and to talk this all over. And surprisingly, Shibashou was of the same opinion, but he was also aware of how difficult it would be to have an entire army lay down their weapons, saying people are too cowardly for that. Now, this isn't the first time we have seen a character like this, specifically from Zhao, and by that I mean someone who values their castle, land, and people over their respective state. Back during the Kokuyu Hills campaign, when Kanki was the biggest menace on any manga at the time and built an arc of human appendages, using that as a warning to General Kisui, saying if you didn't pack up your shit and leave, an even bigger atrocity would befall his beloved city, Rigon. And just like that, Kisui and his men packed up their shit and abandoned Kokuyu Hills. Now, Kisui and Shibashou are cut from the same cloth. By that, I mean they share this intense love and loyalty towards those they are responsible for. And it's not just those two. That sums up the people of Zhao. Riboku, Renpa, Kisui, Shibashou, the citizens of Zhao, the whole Zhao army, the entire state of Zhao share no love for the crown. 2 generations of kings have led to nothing but ruin for the state, leading to what I'm sure is a significant loss of patriotism. Zhao is in a state of turmoil right now. There is not a single person in Zhao who honestly believes that there is a future for them. That's why they cling so heavily to those around them. They are fighting not for the sake of Zhao and their history of the kingdom. They are fighting to save as many lives as possible. That's the type of people the Zhao are. Foolish heroes. And this just solidified my opinion when in chapter 646, even the Prince of Zhao, you know, the one that was supposed to become the savior of the kingdom, was like, nope, this state is done for, after his father backstabbed him and gave the title of king to his perverted little brother. But let's get back to the main point of why Shibashou could potentially join Ousen. I feel like the only way to truly understand Shibashou is by understanding Seika, because let's face it, this man's entire personality revolves around his beloved city. Seika was once a barren land. No one could have ever predicted it would turn into a freestanding city. A city built off the hard work of refugees to the point where Seika could claim sovereignty for itself. And in a time of never-ending war, this is truly a miracle. Seika has managed to stray from any conflict, claiming that outside of their walls is not their problem. The only reason they have managed to maintain this sense of peaceful harmony is because of Shibashou and his strength. Having a leader who is a great heaven really does have its perks. But what does this have to do with Shibashou? Well, in chapter 791, where we see Riboku begging for Shibashou and Seika's help, Shibashou told Riboku he is neither king nor dictator. If he wants their help, he should ask the people. This little tidbit of dialogue gives us an understanding of Shibashou and how selfless he really is. Shibashou will not swing his glaive if it does not benefit his people. He does not act if his people do not want him to. Shibashou's strength stems from Seika and the people there. He takes great pride in being the leader of a city like Seika and cherishes those who put their trust in him. You really couldn't ask for a better matchup. Shibashou, the man who helped build the perfect city in a time of never-ending war, versus Ousen, the man who will erect a new ideal kingdom in this tumultuous world. Shibashou claims that people are too weak to set down their weapons and have a talk and break bread with one another. Shibashou is an unknown entity to Ken. Just his very presence has shook the whole battlefield. Right now, Shibashou is attacking Ken simply because he is allied with Riboku. Let's not get it twisted. This man does not give a single shit about Zhao. But while Shibashou is a complete mystery to the entire world, Zhao is also heavily underestimating the lengths in which Ousen would go to in order to win. When Zhao took down Conky, I think they, along with the rest of China, all recognized him as the wild card. Someone so unpredictable that it's just a foolish idea to try and understand his thinking, as he's proved that point over and over and over again. Now, Zhao is going up against Ousen, someone whose own son would describe him as, quote, a strength that stems from having discarded any needless emotion, regardless of what happens, a mind capable of cold calculation and meticulous construction of the optimal strategy that will yield the most efficient results. That is the man known as Ousen. End quote. Ousen only fights battles he knows he can win. Ousen doesn't take risks, and he will do anything if it means he will win. Where I'm going with this is that Yasuhisa Hara had no reason to add that little bit of dialogue between Shibashou and Choshin, other than to allude to the fact that in order for Ousen to win, all he has to do is simply talk and make a deal. Ousen invites Shibashou into his army, and in return, he never steps foot in Seika. But that is just my theory, backed up by the fact that with Shin currently away from the battlefield, there doesn't really feel like anyone can stand up to him. Ousen has got a lot of heavy hitters in his army, yes, but even they are proving completely useless. Riboku was smart enough to drag Shin away from the battlefield, knowing he may very well be the only one able to trade blows with Shibashou. Just looking at what Hara is presenting us with, I feel like this is the most likely result. Shibashou is a great heaven with no loyalties but to his people. He already said he would kill anyone even if it means it can save one life. What if he didn't have to kill anyone and saved thousands more? Shibashou is a mystery with a lot of potential. But this brings us to the biggest problem I feel like is in the current state of Kingdom. You see, Kingdom has brought us so many great characters, too many to name them all, with such rich history and storytelling. Every time that a character has been introduced, there is already some sort of lore behind them, some great feat that makes their name known all throughout China. Now we are getting a guy whose abilities are more mysterious than Shohei-kun, a guy whose only lore we know so far is how faking an illness is apparently a good enough excuse to avoid the king, and that just leaves us all wondering if he can even live up to the hype. Here's what we know so far. Shibashou appears to be a very somber man with melancholic air around him. I mean, I don't know what he can be so depressed over, because this man has the face and hair to put any Fashion Week model to shame, along with his body built like a Greek god, not to mention his bougie ass armor. However, he cares very deeply for his deputies and the citizens of Seika above all else. Due to this, he was hesitant to take the position of one of Zhao's 3 great heavens, but he has shown an honorable side to him when he took in Riboku and gave him sanctuary when he was chased out of Kanton. That's all we know as far as personality goes. Strength wise, this man is no slouch. In chapter 771, the first time we actually see Shibashou in all his beautiful glory, the fucking earth crumbles beneath his weight. The first time we see this man swing his glaive, he cuts through 4 people like they are butter. Shibashou in all his glory is a fucking unit. He's a literal giant that is impossible to miss on the battlefield as he towers over everybody. You know that panel where Oki and Mobu first meet? Yeah, it feels like that, but just grander. Just look at the size of his glaive. I guarantee this man has some of the biggest arms and shoulders in the series. I'm not gonna lie, he might even put Mobu to shame. I'm not gonna say he's stronger than Mobu because there is no evidence to back up that claim, but from all the hyping up that Hara has done, that is a fight I want to see. The world's strongest man versus Zhao's sleeping tiger, that just sounds fucking insane. But even with all the accumulated facts we have on Shibashou, I honestly doubt he's gonna leave us with the same impression as Oki, Renpa, Kanki, Houken, or even Duke Hyo. I feel like Hara has done a phenomenal job hyping this brand new character. I feel like as far as new challenging opponents go, Shibashou is the best we've gotten in a while. After all, he is a great heaven, so that's to be expected. But even then, I feel like past generals have set such a high standard that it almost feels like everyone we meet are just fodder compared to them. I guess what I feel like Shibashou is lacking right now is just a good motivation, and I know he's only been mentioned a handful of times, but that's just my main criticism of the character so far. Characters like Oki, Renpa, Kanki, and Houken, off the rip, I was just enamored with them because they gave off such an intense feeling that it was hard not to wonder about them. Will this man tear up the battlefield? Abso-fucking-lutely, without a doubt. But I'm just missing that overwhelming feeling that I have with the previously mentioned characters. Unless Hara gives us a god tier origin story, I honestly have my doubts. I don't think this man is meant for the long game, that is, unless he joins Ousen's army. It is still very early on into Shibashou's journey, and I'm just talking out of my ass right now, and I know I am more than likely wrong. We will learn more about him as time goes on. Yasuhisa Hara knows how to write good, compelling characters because he's been doing it since day one. I don't think he's about to drop the ball with a man he's been working on for well over 6 years. Shibashou is the next big bad for Kin to defeat, and I'm excited to see how they do it, because with Shin so far away from the battlefield, I'm honestly left wondering who can go toe-to-toe against this absolute Goliath. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. If you are new around here or you find yourself coming back to my videos, please feel free to subscribe. I mean, why not? You got nothing to lose and only everything to gain. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, and I want to thank you guys as always for all the support as of lately, and it has been fucking insane, and I don't know, I love you guys a lot. I really do. With that being said, I will see you guys next time.